My mission and passion is for somebody working with me to finally have agency over their body and their decisions and to trust this body, this wisdom that they have inside of themselves innately more than any noise out there, because then they will be able to take care of themselves no matter what phase, stage, or environment that they're living in.
Welcome to the Feminine Alchemy podcast, where we explore the truth about the feminine, the peaceful, the wild, and the visceral. I'm your host, J.N. Behringer, joined by my co-hosts, Julie Dean Richards and Kaylee Rose. Each week, we explore the deep mysteries of the feminine and help listeners apply them to their daily lives in a practical way. Join us to unlock the hidden wisdoms your soul has been waiting for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Feminine Alchemy. I have a very special guest with me today. By the way, this is Julie Dean Richards. If you couldn't tell, it's me again. But I am actually here with a friend, and she is a wonderful human, Scotty. I'm so excited to introduce her. This conversation is so important to me personally. I have been on Scotty's podcast, and we'll talk about that if you're interested. Go and listen. But Scotty is a certified soul mentor and intuitive, a mama of 3. She's host of the Momplex podcast and a reformed guilt-gripped goddess. I love it. I get it, she says. Motherhood can feel overwhelming, but thriving is possible. I help ambitious mamas like you reconnect with your inner voice, create sustainable self-care routines, and live in alignment, because when you thrive, so does your family. I love that so much. Welcome, Scottie Durrett.
Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps. Thank you so much. You're incredible. Your energy is so warm and welcoming and inviting, and that's why it's a delight to listen to y'all's podcast. So I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Okay, if no one has listened to Scotty's podcast, go listen to Momplex. It is a wonderful podcast, and Scotty is a wonderful host. She's so down to earth, and you just feel like you're listening to 2 moms chatting, and like it's very relatable. Scotty is super relatable. She's so fun. But part of the reason that I wanted to bring Scotty on right now is many of you know I have been traveling the country. I have done, by the time this airs, I probably will have done 31 states in like 5 months. And I also, if people haven't heard, I am also pregnant. And so it's been such a huge toll on my body, my psyche, also working and on my personal business, Feminine Alchemist, me and Kaylee stuff, and working with Jan and doing just a bunch of, everything. And I was telling Scotty, I just need you right now because I feel the burnout, for everything we talk about with women so much, working with your cycles and letting go. And even the conversation that Scotty and I had about law school, and please go listen to it. It's a really fun episode. And letting go during that time, I feel like I'm again on this precipice. Like I'm on this precipice of where I'm feeling the burnout. It's been so much. Law school was so much. Having a baby in law school was so much. Then working, passing the bar, like that was so much. And then immediately jumping into this. I've loved it all. Like you said in your bio, I've ambitiously enjoyed, I love it. I love everything that I do. But I think this pregnancy was a big wake up call for me that, like, okay, Julie, we've bit off a little more than we can chew right now. We are very burnt out in many ways that we didn't realize, right? That I didn't realize I was putting so much. And when it's you, I think for so many moms, and this is another big part of why I wanted to talk about this, because I think even if other moms listening didn't go to law school and they didn't do the things and they're not traveling everywhere in a trailer and all that, we have this shared common experience of so many mothers being like, oh, I'm not doing they in your brain, you think, I'm not doing that much. It's fine. This is my normal life. Everyone goes through this. I should be fine. This person's fine. She's fine over there. Everybody's fine. So I can't feel burnout and I should be fine because we work hard and that's what we do. And so I love your approach. And so I would love to hear kind of what you have to say about that in particular, like women not feeling like they can be burnt out or like thinking, "Oh, it's normal to feel the way that I am." And also, of course, I would love to hear you weave in your own story of how you got to this place.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to take a moment to really highlight and recognize your awareness of how you're feeling and that you're taking it seriously. And I think that's a beautiful example that anyone listening can just learn from. It's okay. It's okay to notice how we're feeling and to take that as feedback. So the fact that you are wanting to learn, like tell me about this. Like let's get curious, let's learn about where I am right now in my current situation. And truthfully, that's all we can do is just do our best with the information we have in this moment. And so you're really doing that. So I just want to take a moment to highlight that because it is very easy to push ourselves believing that things will be better eventually, even if we don't change our actions, right? I think one of the big misbeliefs that a lot of moms have is that phrase, I will feel better when, dot, dot, dot when I get to my second trimester, when we finally stop traveling the world, when I finally get those clients signed up, when I finally lose the 10 pounds or my kids turn a certain age. And so that we start forming these habits of waiting to feel better, waiting for some external person or circumstance to change before we start to change ourselves. And there's, especially as a mom, when we're raising children and when we're also growing ourselves, there are a lot of seasons that are coming that we've never experienced before. For example, you're, choosing to go to law school and then finding out you're pregnant. It's like, wait a second, how did this season? I couldn't have written that season. If you had locked me in a room, I couldn't have written that season, right? So, one of the best ways for us to start learning about our own limitations, I don't want to say that with negativity, but our own boundaries, our own capacity for holding certain things. I think one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves is to know our bodies in its truth and to respect those messages that our body is sending to us, because that if we know our body and our truth, then we never have to take something off of our plate that we really care about. But it is an awareness, and that's number one, just really awareness. How am I feeling? This is what's going on in the environment around me. I can't change the environment around me, but I can maybe change how I'm choosing to show up for myself, how I'm choosing to take care of myself. And awareness, I always tell myself and my clients, number one, we can't do anything if we're not aware of what's happening in our bodies. So for you to realize, okay, yeah, I love traveling the world. This is great. This was a bucket list item for myself. I wanted another kid. We were definitely wanting that to happen. I didn't know the timing was going to work out just so, but here I am. Here I am. How am I doing with that? How am I doing? Top down, like starting with those scans, like, am I sleeping okay? How's my water intake? How's my stress management? Do I even know what stress management is? It's just starting to take stock. And I always, there is no such thing as failure in anything that we do. It's just feedback. And it's kind of just taking yourself, not to unromanticize our relationship with ourselves, but the way we would look at our business. How did Q? Yeah, okay, that worked. That didn't work. What do I want to change? What do I want to adjust? Same thing goes for us. How am I doing? How did I do this week? How am I feeling? How am I eating? How am I loving? How's my energy? None of that is a failure. It's just information. And that to me is like, that's step one of just even like hitting the pause button and giving ourselves that 60-second body scan. When is the last time we all did a body scan and could tell ourselves, like, okay, here's how I'm doing mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, femininely, all of it. And I think that's really one of the most powerful things. And then I'll stop talking in a second, because when I'm really working with my clients, I don't come in here and say, hey, I've got all the answers. I'm the expert. You're not the expert. Do what I say, and then all your problems will be fixed. That's not how I work, because we're not the same person. No two people's approach to life is going to be the same. What I drive and my mission and passion is for somebody working with me to finally have agency over their body and their decisions, and to trust this body, this wisdom that they have inside of themselves innately more than any noise out there, because then they will be able to take care of themselves no matter what phase, stage, or environment that they're living in.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much. And here at Feminine Alchemy and in our school, Feminine Alchemists, we talk about that a ton.
Yeah.
Tapping into the inner knowing and trusting, learning how to trust yourself. And that starts with learning your body, knowing your body, and like getting into your body instead of what we usually do, which is ignore it and live in our heads and say, well, everyone else is doing this, so I should do it, or listening to some authority figure. I'm glad that you talked about, that you don't pretend to be the expert, right? Like you don't pretend to know everything. I was just talking to my business partner, Kaylee, about this. There's this thing we don't love about gurus. These people who are like, I know everything about everyone, this expertism that comes through, and it doesn't make room for the individuality of that person and our own abilities. It doesn't keep sacred the relationship with the self, which I think is really what you're talking about, like being so important is that relationship with the self and with the body. So I really love that. So step one is just becoming aware, checking in with your body, doing a 60-minute body scan. And then before we started the podcast, and this might be part of step two, before we started the podcast, we talked a little bit about like the burnout tree, that there's like a burnout tree and there's many limbs to this burnout tree. And I guess I want to talk about how women get to burnout and what is a burnout tree? What are some of these limbs that women might be doing, things you might be doing that you don't realize are creating the burnout tree?
Hmm. I love, and it's the burnout tree, the roots run deep. And I think it's because we just care so much. We love so much, we feel so much, we care so much. And especially for the life that you're trying so hard, you're working so hard to build with you and your family, right? We will stop at nothing. And I think even if our 24 hours look different, when I talk to moms, we all ultimately want the same thing. We want the absolute best. What can I do to create the absolute, whatever our version of best is for my kids so that the sky is the limit for them. In doing so, becoming a mom, incredibly insecure. There is no manual, right? You can read all the baby books in the world, but just like you said, yes, they have incredible experience and they've probably been around the block a few times. But again, there is no expert on you and there is no expert on your kids except you. You are the only expert on yourself. So I love the baby books. Great starting off points, right? But how many of us have sat there and said, I did everything, and yet they're still crying and they're not sleeping through the night and they're talking back to me and this whole process isn't working. So motherhood can make you feel so insecure, natural. What is a natural thing to do when we feel insecure? Looking for a solution outside of ourselves. We compare ourselves to other moms. What mom looks like she has all of her stuff together? Okay, what is she doing? So if I do what she's doing, then I'm going to have my stuff together and I won't feel insecure or vulnerable or scared or anxious. And so then we start to naturally just not copy, but compare ourselves, compare our kids. That's the number one root that's being shoved into the earth. It's just that lack of, it's really that lack of trust in ourselves. I believe that's the first part where we're really starting to lose connection with that relationship to self. And it's totally normal. Motherhood is so daunting, so daunting. And the only way to really learn it is to actually go through it, right? Because your kid has never been alive. So it doesn't matter how many baby books have been written. There's not a baby book written about your kid unless you're writing it. And so there's just a lot of that insecurity really plants that first seed of the burnout tree because it takes us outside of our own bodies, outside of our own inner wisdom, outside of our own gut and our own intuition. And then from there, the comparison trap, the comparison game. We're just trying so hard to keep up, in physical appearances, it's what's the perception of my family. If somebody comes to my house, is it clean? Is it stinky? How's our Christmas holiday card looking? It all starts to just feed on itself. And then We're working so hard. There's only so many hours in a day. What's the first thing to fall off? Our own self-care, right? How we're like the feeding, the sleeping, the moving, the breaks, the moments in our day where it's just gray matter, right? It's just so it's all of a sudden we are planting, it's just seed after seed after seed. And then this beautiful, huge burnout tree just starts to grow. And without I think this happened to me. I really didn't see what was happening until that thing was 12 years old, that tree. That tree had been living for a very, very long time. And then eventually my body physically gave out, even though my mind was telling me to push forward. I don't want anybody to have to live that way for as long as I did. If we start to have these conversations and just bring some awareness, like, I get it. I'm also going through what you're going through. I also didn't sleep last night. I also second guess everything I do. I also laid in bed and wondered, did I only feed them saltines today? Are they going to be in therapy because I took a nap, right? Like we're all having the same versions of these fears. And a lot of times for us, we don't want to be a burden. We don't want to look weak. We don't want to look like we don't have our stuff together. So we're quiet about those fears. We're quiet. And that's another layer because it just means self-neglect. It just means we're not really letting ourselves be honest about how we're feeling. And, one of the hardest things for me that I went through and I had to admit, I love my kids. Love them, love them, love them. I did not like motherhood. And that's okay. It's okay to feel true feelings around it. The question is, why? What's the root of that? Right? Let's figure out what our bodies are trying to tell us. So that's a, really quick way to talk about the burnout tree. But I think I think about our life as a pie. Like, we've got money and sex and health and purpose and family and all things are, while they're separate, they are all connected. So we might be focusing all of our attention on our family, but that is absolutely going to ripple into all other areas of the pie, right? And the same thing goes with the tree. Like if we're only watering one like section of the healthy tree, it's no wonder everything else is like getting burned out because it's being neglected. And so ultimately what we're trying to do is create the tree of our life, right? Like a balanced, our version of balance, like our version of understanding what does our tree need to like thrive. But the burnout tree is real and it can affect us in all different areas. And if we're not putting awareness to it, we might not even know that we're doing it to ourselves, right? Like we might think that lack of sleep means that we're more available for our kids, right? We might mean that if I don't follow my dreams, then there's more time for me to spend raising my family, right? So there's this interesting energy where we can almost gaslight ourselves. Well, if I don't go to the gym, then I have more time to sit on the floor and do arts and crafts with my kid, right? So if I go to the gym, then they're alone, right? But the maths actually don't add up because if we take care of ourselves, that just leaves us stronger for the kid. But it's a gray area a lot of moms can get into, especially with the competitiveness. I slept less. I didn't work out. Lucky you, that one mom that shows up rested with her makeup on and she's sipping a smoothie and went to the gym. We're all like, gosh, she must have the easiest kids. She must have so much help. Oh my gosh, she must not love her kids, right? Like it starts to create this message, but that's kind of the beginnings of the burnout tree.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, all of that is so, so relatable, right? It's just so relatable when to hear you say it. So much of that is happening. And I also was thinking about one thing you'd said when we talked about this before the show was this idea of these expectations. Like all of this hinges on expectations. These expectations that we have that we don't realize are the root of this burnout tree is and there lots of times there are expectations we've never voiced, we've never thought that this is our expectation, but we may have this expectation that we will show up to the soccer game as the rested mom, with the makeup on. And when that expectation isn't met, then, we feel burnt out. We have to work harder towards it, or we have to do more for it. And then, it's not enough. Or we may have the expectation that, our kids will be this way or that way, or this will happen as we homeschool our kids, or this will happen when our kids go to school, or whatever it is, or for ourselves. Like this, I expect myself to be able to run this business and be a mom and do everything. Even if I've never said that out loud, right? We have the expectations. And a lot of those, I think, like you said, are built off of the comparison, and just acknowledging that our comparison with other people is never fair. It's never a fair comparison. It's never a true comparison, because we're not inside their body. We're not inside their lives. Oftentimes we know very little about what's actually going on and the way they actually feel, but we create these expectations based on the small little pieces that we see. And we often are comparing other people's strengths to our weaknesses, or our perceived weaknesses. And there's always something that somebody else would love to have that we have,
Yeah.
and they see it completely different than us, and they feel weak in another area. And it just becomes like we get so burned out trying to meet all these expectations that we didn't know we had. Hey friends, it's Julie. I'm just popping in here real quick to tell you about a very special invitation we have for you. If you have been feeling deeply called to learn more about your feminine identity, or to see what feminine power really is, or you're just loving the podcast, then Kaylee and I would love to invite you to join our community, Feminine Alchemist. Inside, we host live monthly women's circles, challenges, and Wheel of the Year celebrations. They are seriously so much fun. We have monthly workshops where we bring in experts to teach on anything from menstruation to mythology. You'll also get access to our library of courses about astrology, intuition techniques, sacred embodiment, and cyclical living. And most importantly, you'll be able to connect with women who are like-hearted and walking the same path as you. So if this sounds exciting to you, join today by clicking the link in the show notes or going to femininealchemist.com. That's alchemist spelled MYST. Okay, back to the episode.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because some of those expectations are not even ours, right? So it could be expectations that you received when you were being raised by your caregivers, that this is what motherhood is supposed to look and feel like. Or it's expectations from, our own society of just like, this is what the quote perfect mom looks like. And this is what she does, And I remember when I got pregnant for the first time, my father-in-law basically said, well, your life is over. You're now just a vessel. I hope, basically, I hope you enjoyed what happened. And I said, oh my gosh, okay, okay. So yes, that's what a good mom does. She lets go of all the things that made her her and just becomes this vessel. And I always think about, it's like motherhood is one of the most personal but least personal things we could ever do. I mean, just imagine when you're in the grocery store and a kid says mom, everybody's head turns, right? So we even have the same name, right? We don't even have unique names. We're just mom. And I don't mean to downgrade that. I mean, it's a beautiful name and I love it, but it just shows you, gosh, we are really not just ourselves anymore, right? We've taken on a new role. And how does that, are we letting it consume us, or are we letting ourselves like invite that into who we are? And I think that's a big expectation that people put on us to say, you're so lucky. There are women out there who would give their anything to be a mom. And here you are. I hope you're grateful. I hope you're appreciating it. I hope you understand how lucky you are. And then what happens if you're like, wait, I'm not liking it. I don't know if I can do this motherhood thing by myself. I actually can't wait to work out of the house again. I think I'm going to need to hire some help. So then you start to feel shameful. Like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't being a mom good enough for me? What makes me so ungrateful that I need work or help or more friends or time away from my children, right? And I think that can also take that mom who really probably would be a better mom for her kids if she actually worked out of the house, right? but then she pushes herself harder. I can't admit that I don't want to be around my kids today. I can't admit that I need a break. I can't admit that this motherhood thing isn't really as easy as I thought it was. Like it's not coming as naturally to me, and I think if like us to admit things that are very uncomfortable to other moms that we trust, it just invites other people to feel safe to tap into what are their thoughts and feelings about it. And we talked about, expectations versus reality. You're on this glorious road trip and you have these great expectations like I'm going to go to this place and I'm going to soak it up. I'm going to chew up every beautiful thing about this town. You're like, but I feel terrible. So what's wrong with me? And it's shame, it's guilt, it's all those things associated with this belief that we have to look and live a certain way. And a lot of it is deep work with those subconscious beliefs, I think are really important for each of us to understand. Like, what are my beliefs about being a mom, being a woman, being a female in today's society, and really understanding, but like, what are those beliefs? Because that's what's forming those expectations. That's what's informing the actions that we take. And ergo, that's our results, right? Our own beliefs about ourselves and the world are what are creating our results. And, one of the most beautiful things that we can do for ourselves is to really kind of like give ourselves some grace. Yes, I would love to wake up every single day, work out for an hour, meditate, drink fresh lemon water, ground, roll, take my dogs for a walk and make homemade dinner for my kids. You know what? Maybe I could do that one day of the week. I love that I have those dreams. I love that I know what a glorious day would look like and feel like. Now I'm like, what's one thing I could do from that beautiful list? Because if I can do one thing, I'm already doing more than I did yesterday. It's kind of like reframing and almost understanding what are my expectations? Great. What can I do today? And then really celebrating. You talked to me about that. It's like celebrating, I did the thing, and just kind of breaking it down. It doesn't mean we have to change our expectations, doesn't mean we have to say our desires and our dreams and our highest self can't exist. Of course she can. She's here. She wants everything that we want. Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither is our life, right? So what can we do today? And that's been a huge change because it doesn't mean you're giving up on your expectations. You're just doing it in a way so it feels good. And I think, we can have the life of our dreams. We don't have to feel terrible to create it. It's actually much simpler and can feel much, much better. And that's really the antidote to those expectations, right?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so true because we have this idea, especially in the culture that we live in, it all has to happen right now. You have to do it fast. Like we're always looking for like, oh, how did she lose 50 pounds in a month? Because I want to lose it in a month, right? Like, oh, how did she build her business? How did she grow her following from 4K to 50K in 40 days? Like I need the fast track. And we have these huge, speaking of expectations, just these huge expectations for ourselves that like if we're not doing it all and if it's not right now then it doesn't count. And I really love that you brought up like, well, it doesn't mean you're giving up on your expectations. Like choosing one thing at a time doesn't mean those expectations are gone, or it doesn't mean, because I think that's what we really think. Like we really think that if we go too slow we will never get what we want.
Yeah.
Like we will never have what we want because we're going too slow. We're too old, We're getting too old. We're whatever. When I feel like so many people we just like miss out. I would rather have, a life that is full and rich the whole time rather than this rushed life so I can get to this certain place, supposed place. Because we talk about this when we talk about the heroine's journey a lot, is that so many people try to do this. They try to do this. All these women try to get to this peak of success, whatever success is to them, the follower count or being a certain kind of mom or the corporate job, whatever it is. And we rush to get there. And then we get to the top and we're like, oh, this is so empty.
Mm.
This is so empty. Was this actually worth it? Was it really worth it? And it's really not worth it. And that's when we kind of decide to go, something goes, wrong. It wasn't what we thought. And so we decide to kind of go down the rabbit hole and start seeking more inward instead of the outward approval or trying to look and give away your power to somebody else. Because a lot of, like you said, I think a lot of our expectations is because we've given away our power to somebody else and what someone else thinks is good.
Yeah, I love the way you phrase that. It's all tied together, but when you become a mom, you're living for someone else, right? At the very beginning, right? They say it's me, it's we, it's them, right? So for the first section of their life, they really can't exist without you. So it's all up to you. And that's the me phase, right? And then as they get older, you're trying to slowly start to distribute some of that, not only because you need a break, but because they're capable. That's the we phase, right? And then eventually they leave the house, they launch, and it's the them phase, right? But in that me phase, really naturally you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're overwhelmed, you don't even understand. And this is just to say if maybe your birth plan went the way you expected it and your kid doesn't have colic, right? I mean, we're not even talking about the situation where you're like, oh, surprise twins or surprise C-section or that baby was 2 weeks early or 3 weeks late, right? There's a lot of things we could never predict. You're going through that right now with your friend. But you can lose yourself so quickly in those beginning weeks. And of course, it's natural because everybody coming over is so obsessed with the baby, right? As are you, right? So everybody is focused outward, outward, outward. And that feels so normal for you. But over time, we're starting to really disconnect from our heart, ourself, our body. And I think what you just said, it's without us even realizing it, we've already started to neglect ourselves. And we feel this incredible lack, this emptiness, this loneliness, those moments where it's 3 a.m. and you're nursing or your baby, you've never felt more alone and yet feel so guilty because you're holding your greatest creation in your arms. And so what do? We think there's something wrong with me. This feeling has to go away immediately. I cannot have this dark thought. I cannot have this terrible feeling that I'm not as happy as I should be. So I'm going to start making my own baby food and then I'm going to get all this praise and all this recognition. I'm feel so productive. I'm going to do this thing. I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to do it like 110%. And I'm just going to go, go, go. And I'm never going to complain. And everybody's going to be so impressed with me. I'm going to be impressed with me because I am doing all the things. I am the multitasking mother hero, right? When ultimately, it doesn't matter how much we do. Doesn't matter how many compliments we get, how many hugs we get, how many nights our baby sleeps through the night. Nothing can fill our own lack in self-worth except ourselves, right? And when we're chasing approval by being busy, it is 100% going to drive you to burnout because the only person that can fill that is actually yourself. And I think that's that big disconnection, that relationship with self that you talked about in the very beginning. It's really, a lot of moms get angry when I say this, but your number one priority, number one, before your kids, is your relationship with yourself. Because if that doesn't exist, you can't even give your best self to your kids. You'll always be chasing some relief that's always going to be temporary, right? And that's where we get caught up in I want to be more present. I want to be more balanced. I want to appreciate the messy moments. Well, you can't do that if you're not appreciating yourself. If there is no foundational relationship with yourself, everything else around you is a house of cards. And I say that and it makes moms really upset because I'm not questioning a mom's commitment and a love for her children. We shouldn't even have to explain it. I want every mom to stop saying things like, I love my kids so much, but I know that. We know that. We should all give each other the benefit of the doubt and the respect that goes unsaid. But you can love your kids and love yourself. They don't have to cancel each other out. In fact, it's like a flower. It's like the more you love yourself, the more love you have to give to your kids. And that will, again, it helps so much with the healing and prevent you from being in deep burnout because you're always going to consider yourself as you make decisions in your life. if that relationship truly is number one.
Yeah, this is so much good stuff. So much good stuff, Scotty. So I think getting into this, because you've given us so many beautiful tidbits about, where burnout comes from and how some of the ways we can go about it,
Mm,
and kind of landing on, the self. You have to have this relationship with yourself if you're going to stop burnout. But maybe we can go into like how does someone do it? How do you do it? How do you do the thing? Because it can be so difficult. And I do want to say, right, like it can be so intense also when you're the sole provider, because I've been the sole provider for a couple years and hopefully that's going to change soon. But, when you have that extra added pressure,
mm.
how do you do these wonderful, beautiful things? And how do you let go of burnout?
I mean, the nice thing is it's gonna there's small ways to make these shifts. You don't have to escape to some, fountain of youth, or you don't have to wait for a vacation. You don't have to wait for Mother's Day. I mean, the first thing I did with myself, and I'll tell y'all about my story in a moment, but what I do with my clients, it's just like an intake form. It's like, are we sleeping? How are we eating? Do we go to the bathroom? Like what's going on with the basic needs? Exactly the same way if your kid called from school and said, Mom, my stomach hurts. What do? We don't just like shove Pepto Bismol. We'd say, okay, let's talk about this. Have you had some water today? Did you sit down and eat the lunch that I made you? Okay, how did you sleep last night? Have you gone to the bathroom? Right? Like we start to just gather basic information about what is going on with that body. I mean, just the basic needs of the body. 9 times out of 10, the first thing I address with my clients is sleep, is sleep. And as a young working older mom even, I mean, what is the first thing that goes when it comes to our kids? It's sleep, right? When you're in your newborn phase, you're not sleeping. Then it's toddler phase. They're waking up because they're wetting the bed, and then they lost a tooth, and then they're at their sleepover and they don't want to be at the sleepover. So you're driving over there at 10, 3 in the morning to get them. Then you have teenagers who are out in the world driving and probably drinking. So you can't sleep. It never, it could be possible that a mom would never sleep more than 4 to 5 hours for the rest of her life. Sleep, can't do anything without it. It's the only time our body heals. It's the only time our soul heals, right? It's the only time that everything that we learn that day, all the nutrients, all the information can be retained into our bodies. And so sleep is number one. And even if it means talking with your family, sitting down and saying, Mom needs sleep. I'm going to need help. Everybody's involved in this. I don't have to do this alone. If you have a partner that you're sharing your life with, or if you're a single mom, even, it's just even talking to your kids about that. And the basic things, get the phone out of the room, remove the TV out of the room. How can we turn your bedroom into a flipping spa that you literally love every time you walk in? There are small things we can do in the environment so that you don't have to stop working and stop raising your kids, and you don't have to miss a beat. Actually, it'll just start to roll a lot smoother. But sleep, number one, and it's the biggest ROI. Once you can get some sleep and you have a little bit more energy and things don't feel quite as overwhelming, then we can start to notice certain signals and symptoms that our body has been sending us for some time. Is it our headaches? Is it neck pain? Is it digestive issues, heartburn, knee pain, joint pain, right? Like your body is the wisest thing that you ever have access to. And the symptoms, although they might feel negative, they have a positive intention. They are literally begging you to focus on that symptom where there is an imbalance in your life. And if we can figure out the root cause of that symptom, we will create balance where there has been no imbalance, where there hasn't been any. And so it's just, which is great because all of that's free and it's available to you right now. But you got to be nice to yourself and be realistic expectations. You're not going to there's no magic pill. There isn't. I know there are a lot of magic pills out there. Every time we open up our phone, there's some shot, there's some pill, there's some button, there's some something that might offer you a little bit of temporary relief, but ultimately it's still a journey. to figure out what's going on with your body in truth. My daughter has ADHD and she lacks the ability to have executive functioning. And so when we started taking her to therapy, they needed to put her on medicine just so she could learn and have focus for the executive functioning. But now she's off the medicine and she has beautiful, sustainable habits that help her with the executive functioning. That's just how we are too. If we need a little bit of help in the beginning to help us with some sleep, to help us with some digestive issues, to help us with some headaches, great. But what we don't want to do is band aid it. What we want to do is honor those symptoms and use them as a GPS, a blueprint to help us. I'm putting my phone in the kitchen and I'm not sleeping with my phone. It's these little bits. All of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm talking kindly to myself. But we have, to your point, we have to be realistic. You're not going to just start working with me and then I have you, in your burnout blueprint, right? Like we've got to go back and actually get your system ready to be able to start to heal, right?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I love the small steps. I'm such a believer in that. I think even though most of us, including me, are very bad at them because
Yeah.
for some reason we have an all or nothing mentality. Everything it always has to be all or nothing. I'm either and it's always this either or I'm either really bad at it or I'm good at it. And it's not even like really good at it. It's like I'm either really bad at it or I'm okay at it, or I'm good at it. But we have that all or nothing, but I think those small steps and I think like you said and we talked about it in the beginning, taking stock of yourself. When was the last time you took stock of yourself and your habits and got curious and experimented, asked yourself the questions that you would be asked if you went to the doctor's office? Or did one of those million long intake forms. Like, when was the last time you paid attention to you enough to be able to not just fill it out and like just let it go, but to actually look at, okay, what does that mean about me? What does this mean? What can I do about this? And I think those small steps, yeah, the phone being out of the bedroom, the TV being out of the bedroom, getting sleep, talking to your kids, like huge. And I do agree that sleep is so, so huge.
Hey friends, it's Jayan here. If you have been feeling really stressed out about the world lately, you are not alone. There's been enough crazy and fear flying around the internet that even I've been knocked off my rocker sometimes. But it's times like these that I'm really grateful for the tools I have to regulate my nervous system. I developed these tools for myself when I was going through the thick of it. My babies were young and I had a ton of repressed anger. And these tools helped me through other stressful times, including negotiating my own divorce, having difficult money conversations, and of course, the whole COVID experience. And I've put all these tools in a method I call the authentic self-care method. This is different than other self-care programs because it is a framework for you to find your special sauce when it comes to self-care. And let me tell you a secret. Step one is not take a bath, get a haircut, or go to the gym. Step one is regulate your nervous system. And that's exactly what we do inside the 3-in-1 membership. This powerful program includes focused journals and meditations you can do in just a few minutes, like the fight or flight session, the hippocampus session, which rewrites your ability to see new possibilities, and the vagus nerve session, which helps you regulate your whole body in a crisis. Using these tools, members have reported feeling more empowered, more expansive, and many experience relief from actual physical pain, all for less than $2 a day. So join the 3-in-1 membership now so you can learn these tools today. The world is not going to become less crazy. The only thing you can control is how you respond to it. The 3-in-1 membership will help you do that, so click the link in the show notes to enroll today.
It's really, they use it as torture, right? When you're not sleeping. And just imagine if, that I'm sure we could all think back to that one morning where we woke up, we're like, oh my gosh, I could do anything today. And it was probably that we actually let our body turn off and get some sleep. It- And doesn't mean it has to be perfect all the time. We will fall off, but if those 4 to 5 hour or the 3 to 4 hour night sleeps, if those become the anomaly versus the normal, then our body can handle it just like it can handle anything. It can handle those days where we have to juggle a ton because we've built in less juggling on the other days. And one of the things I talk about with my clients because there's this overwhelm. How do I even get started? What do I even do? I don't even know where to start. And that's burning me out. I'm losing sleep over the fact that I don't even know where to start. It's really taking it into these super simple ways of looking at yourself. I don't like onions. I can't stand them. I know that about myself. So I know whenever I go to a restaurant, I don't want onions on my food. Same thing goes with just like those intangible things. I can only do one night a week of drinking red wine. I can only go out and socialize one night a week. I really can only manage 2 clients a day, right? It's just like starting to notice when we're really there's that limit where we're feeling good and we're like, I can do this versus like, oh gosh, I just shifted over into this. My head is hurting. I'm in brain fog. I'm starting to feel hungover and I haven't had anything to drink. Like we know that threshold that our brain talks us into pushing beyond. What we want to know is if my body had a voice, what would it be saying to my brain? It would probably say, "Look, you've done it. I'm feeling good. Let's leave on this note because then tomorrow I can come back that much stronger." It's just like understanding the language of your body the same way you understand just the physical symptoms, right? Like the likes, the dislikes, the cut on your toe, right? You're not going to ignore that. You're going to treat it. Same thing goes for those less common ailments, right? And those are just those little baby ways. When I start working with a client, their only homework that first week is just start asking your body, how are you doing? What do you need from me today? And just seeing what it says. That's it. That's it.
Well, we're so disconnected to that. I know so many people who'd be like, I don't know. My body doesn't give me an answer. There's no answer. I can't think of what my body says. The big thing is you have to even if it feels unreal,
Yeah.
even if it feels like it's just you making stuff up, just write it down. Like
Yes.
just choose to believe it. Yeah, just choose to believe whatever thoughts. It's this exercise because we have to get back to our intuition because the fact that we don't even know how to ask our body questions anymore. That's such a sign of how disconnected we are as a society from our own intuition, period. So if you can't ask your body and get a reply, then this is the exercise for you. Is like to keep asking, right? Like keep asking and just like whatever you visualize, let it be right. Whatever you visualize, whatever comes up, let that first answer be okay because that's the start of actually getting the answers and being able to have conversations with your body. And for me, something else that's helped me, I think we talked about this on our self-care, real raw self-care episode, which was a long time ago. I think it's like episode 14 or something. We talked about visualizing your body. When you visualize yourself, your spirit separated from your body, what does your body look like? Because your body is probably not going to look like you think it does. Like it's not going to look the way that you see your body in the mirror. What it will look like is it will give you information. So for me, when I did this the first time, it was like my body was a melting mannequin. It was this big blob and it was just like so, let go of and couldn't do it, whereas my niece who's also like my best friend, when she did it, she saw her body as like being so gray and like skeletal like and just giving this information about how you feel about your body, doing that small visualization can give you a lot of hints. It's your subconscious trying to tell you, hey, look, this is what's up here, right? You're malnourished. Sorry, this is what's up. And this is what, is going on with you. So I think that can be such a great tool as well.
I love that. Yeah, that sounds like I'm going to go listen to that episode. And I would like to say that our bodies really want the best for us all the time. And when we start this small practice of just checking in with our bodies every single day, I promise it will not be long before you start getting a flood of information. So maybe the first or second day feels awkward. Just like trying to meditate for the first time, your brain's all over the place. It's okay. The more you do it, the easier it gets. One practice that is super easy, you just, before your feet hit the ground when you wake up in the morning, lay in your bed for 30 seconds and just do a body scan starting from the top of your head. How's my head? How's my hair? Do I have dandruff? Okay. Like, how's my head? How's my headache? How are my eyes, ears, nose, mouth, everything? Just go. Just scan. Honestly, there's this beautiful little girl inside of you who's going to say, "Oh my gosh, thank you for noticing me." That energy will be with you for the whole day. Just the fact that you chose to start your day noticing yourself and giving yourself a little bit of space to say, "I see you. I'm here. I'm checking on you. I've got your back." Because what do we feel more than anything when we're busy working moms? We don't feel seen. We don't feel supported. We don't feel like anybody understands how hard we're working. I think that's why we chase those thanks, those accolades, the recognition. But truly, the person that we really want recognition from more than anything is ourselves, and that scan, 30 seconds. And yeah, just keep a notebook like, "Oh, I have a headache today." Great. That's all you have to do. Right. Then you might wonder, like, why do I have a headache? No, it's just kind of creating that space. And that's the beginnings of that relationship where you are your number one relationship. That's the beginnings. And it just builds on itself. Your body will love it.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's incredibly important and it's actually really practical for people. It's a practical way to do it. We don't always think about that. And I think we don't notice how much we're not in our body and how much we ignore our bodies until we do something like this. And like you said, like there'll be times when there's disconnects when you get so wrapped up into something for a few days or a few weeks and you forget to come back to it. But you can always come back. Like this tool can always be a great tool for you, which I love. I wanted to check in with you, Scotty, to like give a couple examples. I thought first, what we might do is you could tell your story about how you healed your burnout, kind of like jumping into that. And then maybe if you're okay with it, I we could do a little bit of working with my burnout so people can see how you work. What
Yep.
do you think about that? Is
One,
that cool?
I love it all.
Okay, love it. Okay, let's do it.
Uh, First, I'll just, I'm a mom of three. My kids right now are 18, 16, and 13. And, when I had my kids, this was 2007. And I decided in that moment, oh, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be the one that raises my kids. I don't want anybody else to come in and be involved and to take moments away. I've always had a job. And, I didn't know that it was going to be a real identity loss for me to not have something that was just mine, right? That connected me to the world, that connected me to my brain and my desires. So I shoved those desires down. They were on the back burner for a good dozen years. And in addition, I always said, if I ever had a choice, kids or you, kids or you, I always chose kids, 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 kids. Yeah. Oh, you need food? I'll feed you first. I never put on my own oxygen mask, right? Looking back on it, my body was sending me symptoms all the time. And I was ignoring them because women are magnificent. We are strong. We are powerful. We can push through pain like nobody else. And there's a lot of pride in that. We don't want to be a burden. We don't want to seem weak. We are strong, especially when it comes to our kids. Like we're mama lions, right? And I ignored those for a long time until one day I was literally walking down the hallway holding a laundry basket and my legs gave out and I fell to the floor. I was like, that's strange. Like, what are you doing? And I didn't realize it, but I had like tears streaming down my face. And there was this voice inside of my head that had been screaming at me. And she was like, is this it? Is this it? Because if this is it, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do this for 60 more years. Like, is this really what we dreamed about and what we signed up for? Because you're not looking, acting, feeling like that version. I don't know where you are. You're kind of just going through the motions and yelling a lot at your kids. And I called my husband that day and I said, look, I don't know what's going on with me, but something has to change. I don't have the answers, but I just want to let you know where I am because I'm not doing good. I'm not happy. He was like, I love you. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And I mean, really, the first thing I did was start to take care of my basic needs. I was like, I have got to eat. I have got to sleep. I have got to get fresh air. I have got to just start at the beginning, like a caveman. Like, what do I need to exist in the day? I need water, shelter, food, and sunlight, right? Like, and sleep, like, period. And that's all I did. That's it. I just was like trying to prioritize because I felt so bad. And I noticed really quickly that when I started to take care of myself, I had more patience. I didn't dread it that it was 3 o'clock and my kids were already walking in the door from school. I could like sit down. I had a little bit more energy to actually make food. It's like you start to notice, like, oh, I feel better to just go through my day. And it feels good when you wake up and you feel good. And by the way, that's a birthright. Feeling good is a birthright. We all deserve to feel good. And if you don't feel as good as you want to feel, we can do something about that. That's your sign, right? And it just built on. It just built. I was like, I have enough energy. I think I can go back to work. Gosh, I have enough energy. And this was COVID time. So I just started working from home. Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much about myself. I feel so good. I want to tell this to other moms. I'm going to go back to school. And, it just started to grow organically and naturally. And I never was outside of my comfort zone. I really did embrace that small hinges swing big doors type of thing. But it was mine. I had to really listen to what I wanted. What lights me up? What does my body need? And I had to grieve the idea that I really didn't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. There's no shame in that. I love all of us are exactly where we are meant to be. And if we honor that and believe in it, then the comparison and the judgment doesn't need to happen. But for me, Scotty, my blueprint, I do need to have something that connects me to something, not just my kids, because then that injects me with this incredible energy that I then get to dump all over my kids. But if I'm not feeding that fire, I become resentful and I become disengaged and I get angry. And my kids didn't ask for that. So that's my story. It's been 5 years. And so I do want to be honest and real that I'm not, there's no finish line. It's a daily choice to wake up and to build on that relationship with yourself, right? And to honor your heart and your desires, because what we desire, that's what's meant for us. That's why we're put on this earth to fulfill those desires. Like, that's my blueprint. That's your blueprint, right? Like, you and I are not the same person. And that's what's so cool, right? How incredible. That's what makes this world so powerful. So, but it's really starting small, and we can work through your burnout right now, but that's my story. And I'm really honest about it. And I really admit that I was not happy, and that's okay. That's also feedback. There's no shame in that. That's feedback.
Well, I love that you're so honest about it because that's exactly what we need. And I've always loved how down to earth you are and how relatable you are. And, as people can tell listening to you, it's just like being with an old friend. Like being with you is easy. It's just like chatting with an old friend, which is why I like feel comfortable chatting with you and doing this on the podcast because I just feel like it's just Scotty. It's going to be okay. She gets it. And I think that it's great that you get it and that you're so honest about, yeah, it's still a journey. It's been 5 years, but guess what? It's still a journey and we're still exploring. And I think your podcast does a great job of that, of exploring each facet and being honest to other people and helping other people understand, where giving so many great tools. So people listening, listen to Momplex, listen to Scotty's podcast because it has so many great tips about doing what Scotty did and the continuing journey and can really give you, if you're feeling burnout, can give you what you need. So I thought we would talk a little bit. I mean, not that we can do tons and tons right now at this minute,
Let's
but talk a little bit about what's going on with my burnout and maybe some steps that I could do to heal it and kind of make it hopefully it will be relatable for people even if they're not doing what I'm doing to kind of see like how your process works and how what they can apply to themselves.
absolutely. I really want to just leave that message too. It's if you're waking up and there's even like a little hitch of like, I wish I had more energy. There's no shame. That is your blueprint. That's your GPS. Really focusing on that imbalance is going to help you get on that most aligned path. It's going to help you achieve everything that you want. It's like the universe and your body are saying, you can have everything you want, but we can't if we don't address what is stopping us right now. And I'm giving that to you on on a silver platter. So let's talk about you. I want you to take a deep breath in. And if you can, just, literally just feel the chair supporting you. Feel your feet on the ground. This is such a safe space. And I want you to know more than anything, you are so supported and you have full agency over your body, over everything you desire. And that is the most powerful thing I want you to remember every single day. But just if you can feel yourself being fully supported. And I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I just want you to trust that whatever comes up is exactly right. And there's no filtering. You are perfect. Exactly. You are whole. You are whole right now as you are right now. So when you wake up in the morning, what is the first thought or feeling that you usually have? Talk to me about that first moment with yourself in the morning.
Oh, I'm so sore.
Yay! Hey,
Yeah.
sore.
Yeah, my hips.
Your
So sore, pregnancy hips,
Yeah,
so tough. But yeah, just like, ugh, I'm so tired still and my body's so sore.
your body's so sore. So your body is sending you so you do have some pain when you're waking up in the morning. You're noticing that pain right away. Is that
Yeah.
pain, is that every day?
Yes. I would say it's been, well, probably since like week 10 of this pregnancy, actually, probably when I started to protrude more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So your body, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least and 10 being the most, where would you rank that pain?
a 7.
Okay, so when you wake up in the morning, you're starting out your day with a 7.
Yeah, I mean, the poignantness, it's, like, pretty poignant, I would say. It's not unmanageable or anything like that, but it's like,
Are you living with it during the day?
no, once I get up and start moving, it goes away.
Okay. And so is there anything else that you're doing to help with the pain?
So I did do some KT tape. So I've been taping my belly. So I've been trying to work with that to give my belly more support. So for context for people listening who don't know what I look like, I'm quite short and this is my fourth baby. And as people who have multiple babies know, the more babies you have, the bigger you get faster. You get bigger faster. That's just the way it is. And because I'm short, baby has nowhere to go, so just out. So when I was like 10 weeks, I looked like I was like 18 weeks. People thought I was like on my way to being halfway through this pregnancy. So just to give like some context on that. So yeah, taping my belly to give myself more support is one thing that I've done. And I want to get a mattress topper because we're sleeping in an RV and the cushions are old and hard, and so that's hard on my body also.
Okay. That's good. So, one piece of relief that would be really helpful for you if you did that for yourself that might just take a little bit of the pressure off. So what have you tried to help alleviate this pain besides moving around during the day and the KT tape? This is like growing pains for a kid, right? Like this is the knee pain, the Slaughters, like this is your body. It's just we're trying to catch up with it's like you're trying to catch up your body with what's going on in your environment, really, if the environment is the pregnancy, right?
Not really a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have slow mornings. That's like one thing that we do. I have struggled a ton. The first trimester was the worst, but I struggled so much with having any kind of morning routine at all. And I'm not even talking about like I'm not someone who like believes it's great for women to get up at 4 a.m. and go cold plunge and then go work out at the gym and then do all that extra stressful stuff. I'm very much a believer in like a slow morning with yourself, but I was been trying to get back to having some kind of meditation or journaling, but I am kind of having those slower mornings, not trying to force myself
Okay.
to get up too quick.
I love it. Your body is telling you a pace that it would like to move at, which is really beautiful. Thank you, body. So, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you like your day to look and feel like right now, where you are in this moment?
Well, I would like to wake up not in pain.
Okay. Not in pain.
not in pain and actually feel rested.
Okay.
I guess there's a part of me that doesn't believe you can feel completely rested as a pregnant human, but yeah, feeling rested and actually feeling like I have energy.
Mhm, mhm.
And then I would like to have a protein-filled breakfast.
Love it.
That's a big thing for me. And to take some time to meditate, pray, take some time for my spiritual practice in the mornings and before starting the day. And then the rest of the day is fine. You spend time with my kids and my husband and see the great things.
I love it.
Feel relief and relaxing. Yeah.
I write it down because it's so powerful to hear our own words back to us. It's like you would like to wake up not in pain. You want to wake up feeling rested. You want to have more energy and you would like to make sure you fill that beautiful body with a beautiful breakfast full of protein. You want to have space in your day to kick it off so you have some moment to pray and meditate and then be able to spend time with your kid and your husband and just feel relief and rest. Does that sound right? Did I miss anything? This is beautiful and this is all possible. The more you work with me, we're going to work on that belief in there about pregnant women and rest and feeling good, but that's down the road. And then I want you to just take a minute to close your eyes and just imagine that this reality is true and notice yourself moving through your day and the ripple effect this has on your kids, on your pregnancy, on your marriage, and on your business. And just noticing how she's moving through the day. How is she standing? What is she wearing? What is she drinking? What is she doing? See yourself hug your kids. Is she smiling? Is she playing music? Is she sitting in the grass meditating? Is she going to the back of the RV and putting her feet up and resting without guilt? And just noticing like what energy is she walking around with and how good that feels. And whatever comes into your mind, don't shoo it away. That is possible. That is your vision. Let it all come into you and let it all just that visual. Yeah. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good to see that vision because our subconscious mind likes to have an idea. Our minds don't work on logic. They work on what we repeatedly tell it. And if you have this beautiful vision, that's telling your subconscious mind, this is it. This is what we're striving for. This is the dream. This is the magic wand. And then when I would get into this with my clients deep down, it's like, what are the 3 to 4 biggest obstacles standing in the way of making that vision a reality?
Ooh, that's a hard one. What
Okay,
are the 3 or
now
4
it's
biggest?
maybe just you have the vision, take the next 7 days and notice, wow, that stopped
Mm,
from putting my
mhm.
oh my gosh, that thought right there pushed me to do another recording when my body was already telling me I was tired. I grabbed my phone to scroll and I lost an hour of sleep. Just starting to notice what are those obstacles, those habits that are keeping us from that vision and just noticing it. No shame, just awareness around it. And then, when you have that vision and you build awareness around the obstacles, that's when you start to work with your subconscious mind and your mind will say, wait, is that helping us? Is that hurting us? Is that going to help us get? And you start to again, it's just feedback. It's just feedback about how we're moving through our day, what is helping us get to where we want to go, and what's kind of keeping us in the current situation right here. And just noticing it, you know, it's usually a thought. I can't, I shouldn't, just one more, keep going. What would they think? What would they say? It's the phone, it's skipping a meal, it's just those little things, but the awareness is really powerful. And now if you just like every day, take a moment. You don't even have to meditate. Just take a moment and just go through that vision of you living that magic wand life, just taking 30 seconds, just that vision like, oh, that's what we're going for today.
I love that. Yeah, that's very helpful. As you were talking, I had some ideas scroll across my mind of of the things, but I do think for me and for many women, one of the things is pressure. I kept thinking about that word of feeling the pressure or the rush to do it or to hold it. I'm feeling that much less now. I've been working with this belief a ton, but for a while, I just, because I'm the sole provider and then my business partner's doing maternity leave, and so it leaves me like holding it all, right? Like I feel like I have to hold it all. I have to run the business. I have to make sure
Yeah.
I help with the podcast and make everything work there and do the, bring people in and all of those things, right? All of a sudden it feels like, oh, I have to do it all. It's all on my shoulders. I have to do it all. I have to be responsible for all of this, which means I have to like go, 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 go. But I think even not even just the go, go, go or like the do it right now, it's literally just the feeling
Okay.
of having everything on my shoulders, right? Like just even if it's true or not, could not be true, but just like the legitimate feeling like, oh, it's all on you. You've got to do it all. And not that I want Kaylee to have a really long maternity leave and to enjoy it and like no guilt about it. Don't want any guilt about it
Yeah.
because
Good.
when I have my baby, I will have a long maternity leave and I will feel no guilt about it.
Like,
But I have been working with that one. It's not as strong as it was before. I'm feeling a ton of relief from that. I've been working on it, but I would say that's probably one of the big ones.
what if we offered like a little bit of a reframe around that? First of all, when you said it might not be true, it's true to you. And that's where we really honor our feelings as valid, even if somebody else doesn't agree, even if the words weren't said, we're putting all this pressure. That's how you feel. And that to me is truth, right? What if when you feel that pressure, we have a little bit of a reframe and you feel the pressure of, oh my gosh, I've got all the things to do. I've got to take care of this. I've got to take care of this. You kind of hit the pause button. You say, okay, hold on. The reason why I feel so much pressure is because this is so important to me. My coworker's so important to me. My kids are so important to me. My business is so important to me. And I get to do these things. What is one thing that I get to do today that will help me support all the things that mean so much to me? And so it's doesn't mean that you're going to give up. Doesn't mean you stop actually working toward the things that you love, but you reframe it with a slightly different energy so that you take your control of it again. And it doesn't feel like a tidal wave falling on top of you, but you actually get to kind of look above it and say, okay, I know why I feel this pressure. How can I shift this so that it helps me keep going in a way that feels good to me? Everybody is so important to me. I want to do all the things. What's one thing I can do today? And then that tells your subconscious brain, we're doing it. We got stuff done today. We put one foot in front of the other. We didn't quit. We didn't get overwhelmed. We still made sure that everything is still happening. And we did it in a way that feels really good to us. It's just a nice way to look at it. It's the same way I think about with like movement. So many women have working out as like that negative pressure, like, oh, I got to work out, I got to exercise. And then what happens is we get ourselves into a state of fight or flight. We're in a stress state before we've even done the workout. And when you're in a stress state, you can't heal, you can't process, you can't digest, you can't even get the benefits of the workout. And you're already associating bad feelings with it. So it's like shifting, instead of working out, it's movement. I get to move my body today. How do I want to move my body today? I want to just go for a walk around the block. Amazing. And then your subconscious mind says, we did the thing. We moved. We took care of that thing we really wanted to take care of, but we did it in a way that was way more gentle and way more loving. And we weren't in fight or flight. So when you feel the pressure, you can almost like put your hand on your heart and say, okay, I know I feel you pressure. I understand. I know why you're there. You're there because we care so much. You're there because I have big dreams. You're there because I want the best for the people in my life. Okay. I do. I want to create, but what can I do? Great. I can answer those emails and give my kids a hug and send my coworker a message to let her know I'm so happy for her and everybody feels it. But yet I didn't drain myself. And it just shifts the meaning of the pressure and it doesn't attach it to guilt, shame, or stress. And that's clogging an energy leak and it's helping your subconscious brain feel like it still did the thing, but in a different energy.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great reframe. And I think that is part of the thing that's helped me a lot with feeling the pressure is a lot of reframing around instead of being in a desperation energy, wanting to be in a creative and generous energy of like, I want to truly give and help people and help them. I want the podcast to be so full of great information that people love it and they enjoy it and it really uplifts them. And I want the school to be like such an amazing value, like that's where I want to come from.
All of it.
And
And all of
all
that
of it.
can be true, right?
Yeah.
It all
Yeah.
can be true. It just doesn't have to be at the sacrifice of our enjoyment and health, right? The reframes, fear and excitement actually are the same energy in our bodies. It's just that our brain has put a meaning to it. So, how can we take that pressure, that feeling in our body, and put a different meaning to it? It's just, and then it still allows you to keep doing all the things that you want to do, but you're doing it from a non stress state, from a place that's creating more calm versus more chaos.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a great place to go for a lot. And I think a lot of women are in this state right now. And it's starting with that reframe, like you said, with even something like exercise or whatever it is that is difficult for them right now. And knowing, like you said, it was one thing. It's just one thing. It doesn't have to be all the things, it can be one thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for helping me with that, Scotty. I
Let me know.
appreciate
Put
it.
your hand on your heart and just taking a couple deep breaths, saying, like, I feel you. I notice it. How do I want to approach this now? It just gives you more self respect and self regulation. And it doesn't mean that you have to, this is that shift. It doesn't mean you have to wait for life to slow down to feel better. It just means you get to choose to show up to life a little bit differently. And that's it.
I love it. That's a perfect place. I think we're about out of time to end. And as everyone can hear, Scotty is amazing. She's so great, so much wisdom and just helpfulness and down to earth and the gal pal you've been waiting for. So if people want to connect with you, Scotty, how can they connect with you?
I'm all over, I'm on Instagram the most, which is at Scottie Durrett. I have a website, scottiedurrett.com, and there's a way that you can email me. But if you send me a DM, that's me responding. It's not a bot or somebody else. It's me actually in there. And I do really want anybody that's listening to realize that this is a safe space and your feelings are valid and they're there for a reason. And there are no good or bad feelings. It's all just yours and it's all there to help you. And I can help you navigate that.
I love that. I think that's a perfect place to end on. So everyone, you heard her, go visit Scotty and she will really reply to you. She really replies to me when I DM her. And she's wonderful at what she does. Listen to Momplex. It's a great podcast. And I hope that this gave people some real approachable tools and practical tools. And just thank you again, Scotty.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you are listening and share with someone you know. See you next week.